Hey man, let's not sugarcoat it. There's a very real, very painful truth that most men don't realize until they've been blamed for things they didn't do, punished for things they couldn't control, and discarded after giving their all. And that truth is this: women live in a world where accountability doesn't exist. Not in the way you think, not in the way men are forced to face it. While you're held to a standard where every misstep is judged, every mistake is punished, and every emotion must be buried to appear strong, she can flip the script, rewrite the narrative, and walk away from the wreckage she caused without ever turning back to clean it up. And the worst part? Society protects her from facing the truth. Her friends reinforce it, pop culture applauds it, and if you ever dare to question her role in the chaos, you become the villain. See, accountability for men starts young. Fall down, get up, cry, toughen up, fail, fix it. But women are raised in a world that subtly whispers, it's never your fault. She was emotional, she was confused, she didn't feel seen, she wasn't in the right headspace, and one excuse after another begins to replace responsibility. When a man breaks something, he's expected to repair it. When a woman breaks something, she's told it broke because she wasn't being treated right. Her tears are seen as evidence, her emotions become justification, so when she ghosts you after months of intimacy, or when she cheats and says, "I just felt alone," she believes it, because accountability was never required, only explanation. And here's the twist that'll drive you insane if you don't understand it. In her world, intentions outweigh outcomes. If she didn't mean to hurt you, then in her mind, she didn't. If she felt pressured, confused, or scared, even by her own emotions, then she's innocent. You, on the other hand, are guilty until proven more perfect than her imagination allows. You're expected to be calm, consistent, and bulletproof. She's allowed to be inconsistent, impulsive, and emotionally volatile. Why? Because no one ever taught her that actions still matter, even when feelings are strong, and so she creates emotional destruction and walks away feeling like the victim. When a relationship fails, a man will reflect. He'll go to war with himself, trying to figure out what went wrong, how he could have been better, how he missed the signs. He'll lie awake at night, dissecting every moment, blaming himself even when the blame isn't his. But a woman? She's often halfway into her next relationship before the last one is even buried. Not because she's evil, but because her emotional system lets her rewrite the story. If she didn't feel appreciated, that's the narrative. If she felt misunderstood, that's the truth now. It doesn't matter what really happened. Her feelings are the new facts, and so accountability dies in the arms of emotion. The mirror never reflects back at her, it reflects back at you. You'll see this in the way she explains her past. Ask a woman why her last relationship ended, and you'll hear a common chorus. He was toxic, he didn't understand me, he wasn't ready for someone like me. You'll rarely hear, I was immature, I self-sabotaged, I had emotional walls, because in her world, to admit fault is to admit unworthiness, and since her self-worth is tied to how others perceive her, she'll avoid accountability like it's poison. Instead, she reframes every breakup, every argument, every mistake through the lens of emotional righteousness, and the truth gets buried under justification until even she can't see her part in the downfall. Frontal media has made it worse. She can post vague quotes about being mistreated, about healing, about choosing herself, and a flood of validation will drown any sense of responsibility. Her friends will comment with, "You deserve better," even if she was the one who left. Strangers will repost her breakup story with sad music, like it's a Netflix special, and she'll get more attention from her pain than she ever did from your loyalty. Meanwhile, you sit there wondering how the woman who begged you to open up, who cried in your arms, who promised forever, is now branding you as the villain in her perfectly curated post-breakup fantasy. Welcome to the accountability void. Let's talk about the double standard in arguments. When a woman lashes out, says something cruel, or even throws things in a fit of rage, it's labeled as passion, as her being emotional, or just overwhelmed. But if you raise your voice, if you stand your ground, if you dare to defend your perspective, you're labeled aggressive, toxic, or worse. You're expected to absorb her emotional storm without reacting, to be the therapist, the wall, the sponge. But God forbid you say something blunt. God forbid you call out her contradictions. Suddenly you're the problem, and if you walk away from the chaos, she'll still paint you as the abandoner. Because in her world, she's always reacting to something you did, never to something she created. Orance, even when she apologizes, it's often laced with conditions. I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry if I hurt you. "I'm sorry, but you made me act like that." These aren't apologies. These are emotional escape routes. She's not owning the harm, she's reassigning it. And the worst part, you'll often accept it. You'll nod and forgive and try to move forward because you were taught to be the bigger person. But every time you do that, you reinforce the pattern. You teach her that she can cause pain and never truly own it, that she can burn down the bridge and still expect you to build the next one. Honest accountability, to a woman raised in modern culture, often feels like an attack. The moment you calmly point out a contradiction, a hypocrisy, or a broken promise, she doesn't hear your words. She hears judgment, she hears betrayal. Because deep down, she's never been taught to self-reflect without collapsing into shame. She's been told that to be held accountable is to be unloved. So instead of growing, she defends. Instead of apologizing, she rewrites. And you're left debating emotions that don't match reality while being blamed for things you didn't do. This isn't just frustrating, it's emotional warfare. And if you don't recognize the game, you'll keep losing battles you never started. So what's the answer? You stop chasing understanding from someone who's not grounded in truth. You stop arguing with emotional fiction. You stop expecting ownership from someone who's been shielded from consequence her entire life. Instead, you hold yourself accountable for staying too long, for trying to fix what wasn't yours to repair, for thinking you could love her into maturity. And once you see the pattern, you detach. You stop explaining, you stop justifying, you walk away, not with bitterness, but with clarity, because you finally understand. In her world, accountability is optional, but in yours it's essential, and that difference is what sets you free. Dry chuffs. The truth is, if a woman doesn't feel emotionally safe being wrong, she'll never admit to it. She'll twist the situation until she becomes the one who was forced to react. And the worst part, she'll believe it. That's the power of emotional rationalization. Women aren't usually lying to you, they're lying to themselves. They can't bear the discomfort of looking in the mirror and seeing their own chaos, so they paint the man as the storm and themselves as the innocent one caught in it. And when you start to absorb that narrative, when you begin to apologize for her decisions, question your reality, doubt your truth, that's when you lose yourself entirely. That's when you become the emotional doormat that she'll eventually walk all over, then leave behind when the next fantasy calls. And the danger in this dynamic isn't just emotional exhaustion, it's identity erosion. When you stay too long in a relationship where a woman never takes responsibility, you begin to internalize her perception of you. You start seeing yourself through the distorted mirror of her emotions. You think maybe you were too cold, maybe you didn't do enough. Maybe it's your fault she cheated, your fault she ghosted, your fault she changed. And little by little, your grounded masculine frame crumbles under the weight of trying to fix her storms while blaming yourself for the thunder. That's how men lose themselves, not because they were weak, but because they loved someone who never once said, "That was on me." Watch how she handles rejection. If she turns you down, she'll say it's because she's not ready, or you're too nice, or she needs time. But if you turn her down, suddenly you're a narcissist, a misogynist, or emotionally unavailable. That's how accountability works in her world. It's selective. She's allowed to change her mind, but if you change yours, you're scared of commitment. She's allowed to date multiple men to explore her options, but if you do it, you're labeled a player. In her world, her freedom is empowerment. Your freedom is disrespect. And if you challenge that double standard, you're not being truthful, you're being judgmental. And here's something darker. Many women will test how much accountability they can avoid. They'll do things just to see how you react. She'll flirt with another man in front of you, say something hurtful, disrespect your boundaries, and if you call her out, she'll play the victim. You're overreacting. Why are you so insecure? You must have trust issues, but if you say nothing, she'll push the line even further. She's not trying to hurt you, she's trying to see where the boundaries are. And if you never enforce them, she'll lose respect. Because in her subconscious mind, a man who allows emotional chaos without consequence is a man she can never truly trust. So much of what passes for modern dating is just accountability-free romance. So much of what passes for modern dating is just accountability-free romance. She wants the loyalty of a husband with the freedom of a single woman. She wants the protection of a masculine man without submitting to his leadership. She wants the benefits of a strong partner, but none of the sacrifice. And when reality demands maturity, she exits stage left, blaming the script, the stage, and the audience, but never herself. That's why so many men are left stunned, betrayed, and confused, because they thought they were building something real, while she was just passing time until her feelings changed. And the worst part, she'll call that growth. Pay attention to how she speaks about her past. A woman who lacks accountability will always frame her exes as demons. Every guy was a mistake. Every relationship was a tragedy. She was always the victim, never the villain. And if you listen closely, you'll hear the same pattern. Zero ownership. No, I chose wrong. No, I wasn't emotionally mature. No, I needed to heal. Just blame, blame, blame. And here's the thing. If all her exes were problems, guess who's next? You. Because she never grew, she never reflected, she just repackaged her chaos and handed it to the next man who looked like a lifeboat, and that man drowns every time. You have to understand, brother, accountability is painful, it's uncomfortable, it requires emotional discipline. That's why most people avoid it, especially women who've been told their whole life that discomfort equals trauma, that pain is oppression, that criticism is violence. So instead of confronting themselves, they silence anyone who holds up a mirror, including you. And the more honest you are, the more she'll rebel, not because she hates you, but because she hates how you make her feel. You're a walking disruption to her illusion. You force her to face the truth, and if she's not ready, she won't thank you. She'll leave you, Ronot. The women who grow are the ones who've been humbled, the ones who hit emotional rock bottom and didn't get bailed out, the ones who took time after heartbreak to look inward, not outward. But those women are rare. Most are too busy chasing dopamine, applause, and emotional highs to ever stop and ask, what part did I play in this? That's why relationships today are so chaotic, because men are being asked to take 100% accountability for outcomes driven by 50% of the input. You're being judged for reactions to behavior you never created, and every time you try to explain that, you're told you're making excuses. Paul, how do you deal with this? You shift your expectations. You stop waiting for her to own her mess. You stop arguing with emotional stories. You stop giving second chances to women who never grew after the first one. And you stop trying to love a woman into accountability. That's not your job. You're not her father, her therapist, or her coach. You're a man who lives in truth. You've built yourself through pain, through failure, through reflection. You've earned your discipline. And if she hasn't done the same, you let her go. Not with anger, but with peace, because you finally see the cost of carrying someone else's denial. You must become the man who doesn't flinch when accused, who doesn't over-explain when misunderstood, who doesn't lose sleep over the fantasies she spins about you, because you know who you are, you know what you did and what you didn't do. And if she's still stuck in her own emotional narrative, that's not your burden. You stop trying to win in her world. You build your own, a world where accountability is currency, where truth is love, where growth matters more than validation. And if a woman wants to be in that world, she rises to meet it. If not, she fades. Ron Detaching. There's a kind of power that comes when you detach from needing her to understand, when you stop defending yourself, when you let her think what she wants and keep moving. That's the kind of power that builds legacy, that commands respect, that attracts the kind of woman who's done playing games, the kind who wants to grow. And if she's not that woman, then she's not your future. She's just another test of your frame. And you pass that test by walking away with your soul intact. The more grounded you are, the more her chaos will try to shake you. She'll test you with accusations, tears, contradictions, and emotional bait. Not because she wants to destroy you, but because she's never seen a man who stays calm in fire. Most men either fold or fight. Few stand still. You become the rare one when you stop reacting, when you let her emotional wind blow past you like leaves in a storm, when you hold the line, not because you're trying to win, but because the truth doesn't need a defense. That's the kind of man she remembers forever. The one who didn't bend, even when her whole world tried to break him. Brother, never forget, you are not responsible for her growth. You're responsible for your standards. You don't need to fix her. You don't need to teach her. You don't need to wait for her to change. You need to lead by example. And that means leaving when your peace is threatened. That means walking when your character is attacked. That means refusing to stay in relationships where you're always the one apologizing for someone else's emotional chaos. Because the longer you stay, the more you teach her that her version of reality is acceptable, and that lie will destroy you both. Ron End. One day, maybe years later, she might look back and realize what she lost. She'll remember the man who didn't try to control her, but didn't allow disrespect. The man who didn't chase, but who always showed up fully. The man who held the mirror up and walked away when she refused to look. And by then, it'll be too late, because you'll have built a life so grounded, so clear, so deeply rooted in truth that no illusion can shake it. That's your reward, not her regret, but your peace. So let them live in that world, the world where feelings override facts, where blame replaces reflection, where accountability is a foreign language. But you stay here. In reality, in truth, you build slow, you build solid, you build with women who don't flinch when you speak truth, who don't cry when you set a boundary, who don't run when you show strength, because those are the women worth building with. The rest? Let them dance in delusion. You've got bigger things to create. You've got a kingdom to build, and no fantasy deserves to sit on your throne.